Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for joining me today. It's lovely to come and spend some time with you and have a bit of a crafty catch up. Today I want to make a special card with you, and if you let me, I'd like to explain to you why I'm creating it. So if you want to grab yourself a nice brew, maybe a cheeky biscuit. Oh, and I must say, by the way, look what I've just taken delivery of, my own mug ready for my workshops and when I do my YouTubes. And look, it even says my brew and cheeky biscuit. So if you want to go and get yourself your brew and cheeky biscuit, by all means put me on pause and then come back in a minute and join me. So what I want to do today is I'm making this card for my parents, and there's a reason behind this. A while ago, Pasha, who's one of our designers, as you know, with Aall Create stamps, put a post on our group and asked if there was any stamps, any ideas for stamps. And I said Highland cattle. As you know, I adore Highland cattle. But also I asked her for a cockerel with attitude. Now, the reason for this is when I was growing up, I nearly said when I was little, but to be fair, I'm still little. When I was growing up, my parents used to show poultry. So we kept hens and we used to go around and they would show them. So anybody who doesn't know, you know how you have say like a dog show, like Crufts in the UK? Well, they do the same with poultry. And there are lots of different types of poultry. It always makes me laugh when people refer to hens and cockerels and they've no idea how many different types of hens, bantams, pullets. Oh my goodness, honestly, it is just amazing. I mean, I used to have a breed called Polish, and these Polish had feathers that covered their eyes. And they just like had a big pom-pom on the head, absolutely gorgeous, black and white they were, but you couldn't move the food or the water. It really did confuse them. Anyway, to cut a long story short, my mum and dad kept hens for years. They still have them, but they both showed them. And my mum was asked to be a judge. Now, I digress a little. So that's the reason I asked to have a cockerel, because it means something to me. And I used to go around the shows and I would sketch the various birds in the programme, and it was lovely. People used to buy the programmes off me, but I just have this love. So if it's something you didn't know about me, I love poultry, I love hens, I love cockerels. Oh, you know, I'm a bit weird. But what I wanted to show you before we get onto our card is when my mum was judging. So if I can show you, this is one of the show guides. This was the hens, the breed that she bred. And these are bantams and these are rose combs. Now, when she was judging, I embroidered. So if you can see this, it's a photo of this white is her judging coat. And I embroidered a black rose comb on the back. So that was almost my first. So I sketched it out and I embroidered it all those years ago. Now that is a long time ago. And I just thought I'd get this and just share that little snippet with you. Something you didn't know about me. So when I asked for this cockerel with attitude, Pasha drew one, and honestly, I adore it, and it just couldn't be better. So as I say, this card I wanted to make for my parents and just send them it because they've inspired me so much, and they still do, and they follow me and they give me confidence. So it's for them, and so shall we start? Are you ready? Sometimes I think it's nice to know why we do things and what we're going to do. So I'm going to start with the background, and my card blank is an A5 card blank. So this piece of card is, you know, I did think of, I measured it and, you know, it's gone right out of my head. So it's 4.5 by 6.5 inches. So this piece of card, and it's a card with a low chalk content because I need it to be one that will take water well. And I'm going to use one of our new stencils. I just want something in the background. And this one is called Perfect Plushy, which I do wish Abs had had a word with somebody before he titled it, because, you know, I don't need to explain to you why that's not particularly the best name. Anyway, on the stencil, I'm going to add some ink, and I love this pumice stone colour. And I'm just going to sort of squeeze some ink on my stencil. just this area here. Now this won't really show up, but I want it in the background. So I'm going to add a little bit of vintage photo. And these are just my oxides. You can use distress ink. Always start, if you're mixing your colours, put your lighter pad on first and then it won't contaminate. And just need my spritzer bottle. And I'm just going to give this a good spritz off camera. And Eric, bless him, is sat here. So that's my little black Labrador. Just let me mop this up. And he is sat here. So he's just had a nice shower. And then what we're going to do is just come in. And we've done this lots of times before. Pop it down. It's just a great technique for a background. If you want sort of a background that's not too in your face, this is, and if you're not sure what to do, this is just a brilliant background. I always think, you know, if you get a new stencil, it's a great way of using it. Just make yourself a background. And what we can do is we can have a look. Oh yeah, that's going nicely. And if I bring in, while that's just working, I bring in the finished card design look, you can see, we can see it in the background and it's almost sort of, I love the way it looks sort of quite watery and earthy. And that's what I wanted, because obviously with my rooster, you know, an earthy look to it. So if we lift that up, oh yeah, look at that. And I didn't want the cross to be straight. I wanted it sort of at an angle. So I'm just going to spritz this again and just give it a clean. You could possibly get a second. I tell you what, I've got another piece of card here. Let's have a look, see if we can get a second. Do you know what? I've got some samples to do. This will give me a good background, won't it? It's always good to have a background ready. Now, I'm not sure how much we've got on this, but sometimes it's nice to have a background with not as much on. Yes. Oh, that's going to dry lovely. Right. I'll move that out of the way to dry. And this time, I will just clean this with Mr. Inky Binky. Clean my area. Right. So that's the first background that we took. Now, as always, these are better if you can let them dry. So in good old Blue Peter fashion, I've got one that I let dry. I did that one earlier. And as you can see, you never get two the same, which, isn't it funny? I like this one because we've got the detail, but I like this because that's got more brown in. So, you know, and I'm just going to pop that over there to dry. Just check, this is my dry one. And we're going to do some stamping now. And I'm going to start off with, so I've got a couple of stamps I want to use. And this is my first one. And I'm just going to show you, as you know, my desk isn't very big. And trying to actually get, you know, some of these large stamp sets, beautiful A4, but they're quite large to have on my desk. So this one is by Tracy Evans. And I'm going to turn this one round to show you. I tell you, one day you'll get a professional here. So this is number 558, and this one is called Clocks and Flowers. And we're going to use this. And for me, this was just important because this is just a little thought, you know, for my mum and dad, for everything they've done for me over the years. I think sometimes, you know, it's nice just to send a card to somebody, that not because it's the birthday, not because it's, you know, I don't know, Mothering Sunday, or just because I just want to say thank you to them for everything they've ever done. And for me, that means more than, I always say to Carl, never send me a card on Valentine's Day, please, because everybody else is getting them and you're almost told to. I said I'll be much happy with one the day before, the day after, a week later, or a week earlier, when you're sending it because it's for me, not the day that everybody gets them. I'm a bit funny like that, aren't I? So let me see. I think, yes, I like it that way. That's almost heavier. And I'm just going to put this in this corner. And I don't want it quite on. I want it coming off a bit. And I'm stamping in black because I want it to be quite bold. And I'm using my Aall Create block. Now again, don't be in too much of a rush. Now you could do this, let's give it a bit of a, There we go. You could do second generation and it would be paler, but I don't want it too pale. I almost want the black to show up. And I just want some in this corner as well, just coming off a bit, just sort of capturing that bit there. And all will become clear, she says. So again, let's lift that up here. Lovely. Now, the reason I've done that and why I've done that is our next stamp, this lovely rooster with attitude. He is on stamp set 559, and that is called Feathered Friends. And the most gorgeous chicks here. I mean, I'm thinking Easter. That's definitely going to be the one for my Easter card. And this one here, this little one here, Mikey, our youngest son, his fiancée, Fran, she loves hard-boiled eggs with soldiers. And we call them Franny's eggs. So that's definitely going to just be on a special little card for her little notelet I'm going to make. So again, what I love is when you see stamps like this and they mean something to somebody. I always think that's so important. So anyway, our lovely chap's on here. Now, it could be, you could make him into a female, you could make him into a hen if you want. Me is definitely my cockerel with attitude. Now, it's funny, my dad breeds and used to show a breed called leghorns, white leghorns, and they were large white leghorns. And my goodness, a large white leghorn cockerel, oh, they would stand, oh, sort of nearly as tall as me. They were definitely a big bird with attitude. I remember one got out at a show, and if you'd seen grown men running round in Birmingham, at the bull ring, running round this showground trying to catch this bird, and I'm sure it knew. It was like, oh, it was like watching a sketch on TV. It went under trellis tables and bless it, almost looked, waited till it nearly got him, and then he ran a bit further. So funny. So we're just going to stamp him here. And again, and the reason I've stamped him there is I almost want him to look like this background and this background is part of this stamp. I didn't want it to look disjointed, so that's why I went for the black and almost just left this space here. Now again, if you're not sure exactly how much space to leave, that's where your acetate comes in. And obviously you could put your acetate on to just check. Now, that's all I'm going to do for that background. Now, I have stamped him on another piece of card and I've cut him out just because you don't want to see me cutting out, do you? So, but we'll add a bit of colour. And as always, to add some colour, I'm just going to use some of my oxides. Now, if you were to look up white leghorn hens and cockerels, they are white. But quite often, it's quite funny because when we're showing them, we used to have to wash them, dry them with a hairdryer. Oh my goodness, you won't believe the things we used to have to do. But the actual white feathers almost have a bluey tinge to it. So I'm going with a shaded lilac just to give that sort of like that bluey tinge to my white leghorn. But also, I just wanted to add some depth. And if I just left him white like this, I don't think the depth would have been there. So we'll have a bit of that. And I've got my paintbrush here. So I want this quite watery because I want it quite pale. And I'm just going to come in sort of where we'd have a bit of shade, sort of on his wing there. And just round his head and almost these ruffles here. And then round his tum and there, just by his, he's got thunder thighs, hasn't he? I'll just put a little bit in the middle. Bipasha's drawn the lines where you've got shade, so she's given me a clue as to where I need the colour. And as I say, it's quite watery because I don't want it to be too dark a lilac. I just want that idea of the lilac. Now, if I wanted it a bit darker in certain areas, look, just to give a bit more depth, I can go in without the water and just add, so there, just here. And if I wanted just under the odd here, I can just add a little bit of depth, look. And then I'm thinking, now the actual beak is sort of almost white, but again, the white doesn't really show up. So I'm going for a sort of a squeezed, well, it is squeezed lemonade. It's sort of, I'm going to sort of go for a lemony colour. Now, again, you can, I quite often like to, when I'm doing my samples, I just paint almost an imaginary bird. So this, you could do any colour, I've got to be honest. But I just want to do him because it's going to my dad, and my dad will know exactly. I want to sort of make it as realistic for him as I can. So for the comb, I'm using Candied Apple. And again, I've got this lovely fine paintbrush. And just remember, twist your paintbrush, it keeps that point. So we'll just give him a nice red comb. Just want to touch more water. I don't want too much because I don't want it to run into the lilac. Now, normally I would actually paint this and then cut it out, but because I didn't want you to have to watch me cutting out. And then they are actually sort of red round the eyes. So if you want to look up, white leghorn, that's the breed. We'll just give him and then what I'm going to do is, because I want it all to sort of match and look nice, I'm going to make his boots, his nice boots with attitude red. So I'm going to paint those, and I'll try and not put my head over the, just want a bit more red. It's quite funny when you're painting, and I need to almost get my head near, and I need to be mindful not to get it in the, in shot. So I do apologise if it gets in. So I'm just going to give him his nice red boots. Now again, you could do these any colour. You could make them really funky. You could make them walking boots. As I say, there's so much you can do. But I just thought the red would match. And again, you would take your time. You know me, I just pretend I'm a bit of a watercolour artist. We all know I'm not, but, you know, I can pretend. So, while I'm painting, how are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. How are things going? I have to say I'm feeling so much better. So much better. I do have to watch it. We've had some frosty mornings, though, and when I take Eric out, oh, it does get down my throat. Really feel it in my chest, but I'm not complaining, because do you know what? I feel just so much better. Right, I'm going to come in with Vintage Photo. We'll pop that there. And Vintage Photo, we're just going to have on the sole of the boots. And again on this one. And just on the edge, sometimes on the comb here, on the edge, it can almost go a bit sort of browny black. I think it gets a bit frosted, a bit cold in it, because obviously it's rich in blood. That's why it's red. So I just want to make it look a bit more realistic. So I'm adding that there. Just going to come in with the purple here, because what happens is there's sort of in this area, it's sort of a bit red, a bit purple, almost the feathers. There we go. Right. I think we've just about painted him. Let's just take a bit more down there, just missed a bit. There we go. Now look at all that. Normally I would just use that as a background for another piece, but we'll just mop it up for today, so do forgive me with that. It's amazing how quickly and how nice it is just to lose yourself doing a little bit of painting. So back to our background. And what I'm going to do in readiness to decoupage, I'm going to add a bit of, I'm using my chalk pastel pencils. You know how I love these. Here, I know we're going to add some almost straw here, but I want to just sort of give him a bit of a base anyway, ground our chap. And I'm just going to add a little bit before I do my decoupage in. Just want to add a bit of shade, and again my chalk pastel pencil is perfect for this. And somewhere I've got myself a lovely little nib that I can just blend it out. You know me, I tend to use my finger, but I'm trying to be good and use a nib. And we just want a little bit under his wing here. He's flapping his wing. And what I've done is I've stamped my sentiment. And this, wishing you the happiest day, I just think that is such a lovely, lovely sentiment. And that comes, because I know you're going to ask, okay, where have I put the stamp set? Oh, there we go. It was hiding. So this is another one from Tracy Evans, and this is number 533. And this one is Bring on the Sentiments, and it's got some lovely sentiments. You know, capture each moment. Be bold, be brave, be you. I think that's so important. Just be you. Special moments. I think there's lots of lovely things on here. So that's a lovely one. But I today wanted the wishing you the happiest of days. And I'm just going to come in, and I could edge it in black. I could leave it white. Lots of things you could do. You could stick it on and then go around with your fine liner. But just to keep everything tone on tone today, I'm just going to come in and edge it with my vintage photo. And I'm just going to pop this on before I put our chap on. And as always, my glue, the end. Oh, there we go, that'll do. So, and I shall just attach this here, and I just want it almost overlapping that. I like to have things overlapping. And then I'm just going to add shade, and I just add it on the bottom and one side. Some designers go all the way around to make it pop. I just go bottom and side. But you know what? That's lovely, because I love to just do things a bit different. And it's nice to see how different people do different things. It'd be no good if we were all the same all the time. I think we need be having the same meal every evening, wouldn't it? We need a bit of variety. So I'm liking the way that's looking. And obviously, we're going to put that here. Oh, now, straight away I can tell. I just need a bit of shade on that side. And then when I put that on, yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? That really pops. And if I just bring in a piece of black card, you can see when you put it on the black, it really, really does pop, doesn't it? So, I need to finish him off. Now, I know you're shouting at me because his laces. And what I'm going to do for the laces is, rather, I could have painted them, but I've got to be honest, I just thought I wanted almost him, because he's got attitude, so I'm going to use a purple Signo pen, and it's sort of a nice sparkle jelly roll pen. And I just thought, for doing these laces, and who says men can't have purple laces? He's a cockerel with attitude, and I tell you, if he wants purple laces, he's having purple laces. I mean, you could really, if you were making this for somebody and they had a specific pair of boots, I nearly said a brand then, there are lots of brands out there, aren't there? You know, you could really make these for a specific person in mind. I like that. I love that purple. And what we'll do as well is we'll just add some white highlight on the boots, because we would have that white highlight, wouldn't we? And then with my chalk pastel pencils, I just want to add a little bit more red on his comb. And it is amazing. I don't know if you can see the difference that just that red in there made. And these just use, they are pastel, so I always use my finger just to blend them. And I want to bring in a little bit of blue just to almost tone down this purple and add a bit of a blue tinge. And again, just going to use my finger. There we go. And I just love that combination. And we can add a bit more red on the front of his boots here. Just adding depth to your design. And I hope you can you see the difference? And it's always worth, these chalk pastel pencils work really well on top of you when you've painted with the inks. And let's add a little bit of, just a couple of white to his comb, and there we go. It's these little things that just make the difference. Right, now, to pop him on, I'm just going to shape him a little bit with my hand. And then what I'm going to do is, I've got some, now, you know what I'm like, I don't know what you call this. I think I had it in a bundle in my little box for ages now. I think it's raffia, but please forgive me if it isn't. I just buy all this sort of stuff when I see it. And when I look, you know what I mean, nothing has a label on anymore. So I think it's raffia. But really what I wanted was some straw, some hay. But apart from actually going to visit my mum and dad and get some, so I thought, you know what, I've got something in my box that looks like it. And I'm thinking this raffia stuff will be perfect. So the way I'm going to attach this is I'm just going to use a 3D glue gel. Now, you can use whatever glue you like, and I'm just going to put some on here. And I know I'm covering up where I put my shade, but me being me, I just had to have that on anyway. And let's have some. And it's just a matter of playing now and adding. And I want some different sizes. And it's just two things. It's to ground him, but also for me, it just reminded me of being at the hens. I like that piece. I want that piece in there. Got another little piece here. And I just think it's nice to have something a bit different on your cards. I think that bit's a bit long, so we'll chop that off. And we'll put that there. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, just need to, wipe my hands. I'm forever knocking this light, aren't I? So we'll turn him over. Let's get rid of that. And again, I'm just going to use my glue gel. And I want him to be quite sort of proud in the middle. I want him to really be decoupaged. So I'm actually leaving clumps of the glue gel in the middle. And what I tend to do is almost drag with this. This was a pokey tool that I found at a craft fair many years ago. And I only bought it because I love the wooden handle. I have a thing about wood, I like wood. But it's so useful with my pin flare glue. So I'm sort of dragging it out to the edges, look, so that the edges will stick. But once I've done that, I put some more in the middle, because there's nothing worse than having a decoupaged item. And if I just show you on my finished one, you don't want somebody to push it and it go flat. So this is solid. And once the pin flare dries, normally it takes overnight, but once it dries absolutely solid. So I'm just going to, so we've got wiggle time, so we can get him on. And we just check that, look, his beak and his wings, his feet, all those bits are going to actually, oh, he's slightly off there. That's better. But his middle will stay proud. It's almost a doming effect. And I say it's important when you press that, whoever receives the card, you don't want them to just push it flat. And as always, really important, you must pop your glue up, otherwise it'll go off. And he's nearly done, you know. Such a lovely design. I'm so happy with this. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. And what I'm going to do, just going to add, shake my Posca up and add a few Posca splats, because obviously he is a cockerel with attitude and he wants some Posca splats. So there we go, plenty on there. So just wipe these up, otherwise I'll get them everywhere. Now, the only other thing I did on my finished design is on my card blank I've put some splats of my ink, just because I like to carry on the design on the card. And I've added this lovely shield. It's a Tim Holtz, and I'm afraid I can't remember what they're called. A lovely friend of mine gifted it to me. So, and I just thought the word story, because this is a story to tell. And that's the design finished. And what I'll do is I'll put the one we've done today, she says, on top of there so that you can see. And so there we go. I've got a buy one get one free. I'm hoping you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for listening. And it's nice to share a little bit about me with you. And thank you for subscribing. We've got some new subscribers, and that's always lovely, warms my heart. You take care, everybody. I'll pop back in a few days. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.